All right, friends, we are back for another chapter of Red Dog by Bill Wallace, read with permission of Simon and Schuster. In the last chapter, we had some big events happen. Adam and Lori and his mom were taken hostage by the gold prospectors who had come to the cabin earlier while Sam was not around on his way to or from Cheyenne. So they had just sent Adam to take Ruff outside so that he would not interfere with them anymore. Adam got a strip of rawhide and tied Ruff securely to the corral outside. The pup wasn't used to being tied. The minute Adam started to leave, the dog ran hard until he hit the end of the line. He let out a yelp as it flipped him backward. Then he started chewing on the rope. Adam sat by him for a long time, patting him, trying to soothe him. Finally, Ruff started wagging his tail and settling down. Adam could tell he still wasn't too happy about things. But at last he was calm enough so that Adam could go back to the house and check on Mother and Lori. He felt his fists tremble at his sides as he glanced toward the cabin. "You done anything to hurt Mother and Lori? I'll kill you. I'll..." He didn't know how he'd do it, with his bare hands if he had to. Adam walked quickly to the house. Dark was already starting to settle over the valley. He glanced toward the peaks in the west. The sun had dipped behind the mountains, and in less than an hour, its light would be gone. Adam shivered. "I wish Sam was here," he thought. "I'd give anything to see him coming over that log bridge. Anything!" But Sam was no place in sight. With luck, Adam knew he couldn't expect him until around noon tomorrow at the earliest. He turned to glare back at the cabin. If those scum had only waited until Sam was back, I bet he would have showed him a thing or two. I bet he would have blown their heads off for trying. "Hey, boy!" A whiny voice shook him from his thoughts. Adam glanced up to see one of the men standing in the door of the cabin. "While you're out there," the man whined, "fetch some deer meat from your smokehouse yonder." Adam's nose curled up. Even from out here in the yard, Adam could smell him. It was a fair bet to figure he hadn't had a bath in 2 months or more. He had a black beard that carried enough grease in it to make a bear jealous. Instead of being smooth and white, his teeth were rough and jagged on the ends and black-looking, and there were spaces between them where some had rotted out. "Get that meat now, boy!" the man's whiny voice barked. "I'm tired of waiting on you. Do what you's told, and bring good meat, too." His eyes scrunched up as he watched Adam. "You fetch rotten meat, I'll make you eat it yourself. Understand?" Adam nodded and scurried off to the smokehouse. Back inside, the big man had set Lori down. They made her and Mother and Adam fix food for them. Then they had to sit back while the 3 men ate up all their food. The rolls Mother had fixed, the last of the deer meat Sam had shot for them before he left, and the fresh butter Mother had churned. The men gobbled their food like savages, scooping up handfuls and cramming it into their mouths. They belched and spit out bits of gristled meat on Mother's floor. Adam had been hungry before, but after watching them eat, he didn't know if he could eat another one of Mother's hot rolls as long as he lived. He glanced toward the door. He remembered the night Shonatak came to the cabin, how he moved so quietly and unnoticed. A smile crossed Adam's lips as he thought, Sam had said the Indian would be around to help watch for trouble. Adam wondered where he was. Maybe he was right outside, just waiting for his chance to burst in and take those men by surprise. Or maybe he'd gone for Sam. Maybe, right this minute, they were both traveling hard, making their way to the cabin to rescue the family from these horrible, frightening intruders. He glanced at the ceiling and closed his eyes. "Please let him come," he pleaded silently. "Please let him get here before anything bad happens to—" "Woman," the big man with the stooped shoulders growled, "fix up a pot of coffee." He wiped his face with a shirt sleeve, then belched. "Coffee'd taste right good after a fine meal. We much appreciate your hospitality, ma'am." Mother's eyes showed irritation and hatred. When the big man saw her, he only laughed. I hope our being here ain't inconvenienced you, ma'am, he lied with a sneer. But being camped in the mountains as long as we had a yearning for a good meal and lodging for the night. He rolled back in his chair. The string of a tobacco pouch hung from his vest pocket. He pulled it out and started rolling a cigarette. There is a way that we could be talked into leaving, however. Mother was grinding the coffee beans in the mill, but when he said that, she stopped and turned to him. Nothing would please me more, she responded cautiously. May I ask what it is you wish, sir? There was a confident grin on the big man's face when he turned to the little man next to him. Adam hadn't paid much attention to the other intruder. He'd only noticed the tight, squinty eyes that made him look like he was in bad need of spectacles. As he watched the little man, Adam felt there was a great difference between him and the other men. My friend Max is quite correct, ma'am. If you would but provide us with a small piece of paper, we would be on our way with great haste and leave you about your business. Even when he spoke, Adam noticed the difference. The other men spoke with gruff, harsh voices. This little man sounded like the banker back home. He had a very smooth, polite way of talking. He was even dressed differently from the other two. They wore the same kind of buckskin trapper's garb, and their clothes seemed worn and lived in. His suit, on the other hand, was made of cotton, and seemed at one time to have been clean and pressed. Mother gave him a suspicious look. What small bit of paper do you want? Max, the big man, blew a trail of foul-smelling smoke up his forehead and pointed at the little man with his cigarette. Pete here figures that the deed to this place would be good insurance against any trouble with your man. Understand that we don't want your land, but we got us a strong feeling that the motherlode for the gold we found is somewhere on your place. You can stay here and go on farming and trapping like always. Only when we find gold, there won't be no argument later about who it belongs to. Mother turned from them and watched her coffee pot boil as it hung from the swing arm in the fireplace. The two men looked at each other and shook their heads. Mother went to the cupboard and got some tin cups. Without a word, she set them on the table, then went back for the coffee pot. The two men looked at each other again. Pete shrugged his shoulders. Max, perhaps we didn't make our request clear enough. Max leaned back in his chair while Mother poured his coffee. You don't seem to understand, ma'am. Oh, I understand quite well, Mother cut him off. The moment you have what you came for, my life and the lives of my children will no longer be of use to you. Laurie screamed. Adam jerked around to where her voice came from. He'd almost forgotten about her because she'd been so busy playing with her doll. The man with the rotten teeth had picked her up in his arms. She kicked and squealed until he clamped his dirty hand around her throat. Mother raised the coffee pot. Leave her alone, she roared. Adam leaped to his feet. All his muscles felt like they were tied in knots. The hair bristled on the back of his neck. He didn't know what he could do against 3 full-grown men, but if they hurt Laurie, he wouldn't care what happened to him. He'd tear into them with everything he had. There was a flash of silver. The light caught Adam's eye. Mother shook the coffee pot above her head like a club. Then she froze. Adam saw the glistening flash of light go to Laurie's throat. It was a knife. Adam stopped dead. He felt himself shake all over. Slowly, Mother set the coffee pot on the table. Her knees seemed to tremble like she might fall. Please, she begged, please don't hurt her. Tears came to Mother's eyes. Adam shuddered. There was nothing he could do. If he rushed at the man, he would kill Laurie. The knife glistened at her throat. Suddenly, the big man behind Mother grabbed her arm and twisted it up behind her back. Her face grimaced with pain. Adam couldn't stand to see her hurt. He charged across the room. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught a movement. He was almost to the big man when he saw the butt of a rifle flying toward his stomach. The pain sent him stumbling. He grabbed his stomach. The air rushed out of his lungs. and when he slammed into the wall, he thought he was going to black out. The whole room seemed to spin. He could hear voices, but they were far away, like something heard in that time right before sleep comes. He blinked. He heard a groan and realized it came from him. "Do anything you want with me," Mother pleaded. "But please, please don't hurt my children." Adam couldn't get to his feet, but still clutching at his stomach, he twisted around so he was sitting up. The dirty man showed his black, rotten teeth when he smiled. "Like Max was saying," the whiny voice came, "you don't understand. We ain't asking for the deed to this land. We're taking it. You don't want this little gal's throat slit? You get that paper. You hear?" Adam's head cleared some. His eyes focused on the knife then for the first time. It had a staghorn handle, just like the one Sam's Indian friend had. He frowned, staring at it closer. It was Shonatak's knife. Sadness and despair swept over Adam like the rush of a cold wind. "It's not here," Mother said. "The deed isn't here." "Where is it?" the big man roared. The man with the rotten teeth brought the knife closer to Laurie's throat and twisted the blade so that the light caught it. "I would advise you to stop resisting," the little man named Pete said. "My friends do not bluff when it comes to getting things they want." The big man pushed at Mother's arm. She stood on her tiptoes. The pain made tears streak down her soft white cheeks. Adam struggled to his knees. Mother screamed as the big man pushed her arm until her feet were off the floor. "I'll break this arm clean off, lest you tell me where that deed is." "It's not here," Mother managed. "I swear, I don't have it." He gritted his teeth and twisted harder on her arm. Mother screamed. "Where is it?" She didn't answer. "I warned you, woman." Suddenly Adam was on his feet. The pain tore at his stomach. "Sam's got it," he yelled. "Sam went to Cheyenne for the deed. Let her down, please. She's telling you the truth. Sam's got it." The big man eased the pressure on Mother's arm. Adam noticed her mouth gape open, her eyes grow wide as she stared at him. "No, Adam," she gasped. "Don't." The small, squinty-eyed man they called Pete waved at the big man to silence her. He pushed on her arm and clamped his big paw of a hand over her mouth. Then Pete jumped up from the table and rushed over to him. "What's this you are saying, boy?" Adam swallowed. "I said Sam's gone for it. He went to Cheyenne 5 days ago to get the deed." He stopped talking and looked past the little man at Mother and Laurie. Pete grabbed him by the shoulders. "Go on. When is he returning?" Adam shook his head. "Not till you let them go. Not till you stop hurting my mother and my sister." The little man's squinty eyes grew even tighter. He let go of Adam and turned to his friends. "Send them up to the loft so we men can talk." The knife that glistened at Laurie's throat disappeared into its sheath. The man with the rotten teeth shoved her toward the ladder. "Get." The big man with the stooped shoulders let go of Mother. "Follow her up there," he pointed. Mother took a step toward the ladder. "Don't tell them any more, Adam. They'll kill Sam. Don't you understand? They'll—"
"Shut up!" Max roared. "One more word, I'll grab that kid of yours and break her neck."
Mother's eyes pleaded with Adam. She kept quiet, but stared at him as she climbed with Laurie to the loft. The little man pushed Adam into a chair. All 3 of the men crowded around him. Their ugly faces glared down.
"When's he due back?"
Adam almost got sick to his stomach when the man with the rotten teeth breathed on him. "Tomorrow. He'll be back tomorrow." "And he has the deed to the property?" Squinty Eyes grinned. "He went to Cheyenne to get the paper saying this place belongs to him," Adam answered. "Mother was telling you the truth. It isn't here. Now, will you let us go, please?" Squinty Eyes turned to the others. "He appears to be truthful," he said, very businesslike. "Still, he could be stalling for time. I'm not lying, Adam protested. He started up from the chair, but the man with the rotten teeth pushed him back.
I can find out if he's lying.
The stag-handled knife slipped from his belt. He started toward Adam.
If you're lying, I'll cut your tongue out, you hear?
He grabbed a fistful of Adam's hair and pushed his head back over the chair.
I'm not lying, Adam cried. I swear.
The big man laughed.
Ah, leave him be, Jack. He's so dang scared he couldn't lie if he wanted to.
Still clinging to his hair, the man yanked Adam to his feet.
When you say he'd be back?
Tomorrow. The man showed his black, jagged teeth.
You done good, boy,
he laughed. Then he slung Adam toward the ladder.
Now climb up there in the loft. That's where you belong, with the women and the children.
Adam clung to the ladder. His legs were shaking so hard he could barely stand. I know I did the right thing, he told himself. If I hadn't told, they might have killed Lori and Mother. I had to tell them. But all the time he was telling himself he did the right thing, a voice inside kept asking, if you did right, why do you feel so wrong? Mother and Lori were huddled together in the corner of the loft. Adam crawled over to them on his hands and knees. They were crying. Mother was brushing Lori's hair with her fingers, trying to quiet her. Adam crawled up beside her and put a hand on her arm. I had to tell them, Mother. If I hadn't, they might have hurt you and Lori. Mother's sad eyes caught his. She tried to smile. Adam crawled to the far corner of the loft. He buried his face in his hands and cried, just like he did when Daddy died. Mother always understood, yet never in his life had Adam felt so lost and sick inside. Sam had told him he was a man. When Adam told those men about Sam and the deed, he thought he was doing right, but he'd only proved he was just a little kid, and a coward too.